One of the most pervasive myths of the Second World War is the Blitz. The story, at least here in the United Kingdom and across the Anglosphere, usually goes something like this. Adolf Hitler, in his quest for world domination, had taken over Poland, then Denmark, then Norway, then the Low Countries, and finally France. With nothing but the English Channel between him and his final foe, the United Kingdom, he decided on a strategy of terror bombing to terrorise the British population into seeking peace. The stoic British people simply carried on living and threw up the middle finger to Adolf Hitler, and ultimately he failed and had to head east to destroy the Soviet Union in his hopes of controlling Europe. The reality, though, is very far from this. Let us discuss the truth from the beginning. Adolf Hitler never wanted war with the British, and he even greatly admired them, both for their empire and just in general as a people. Before the war, as we discussed in my last video, Hitler had sought not only peace with the British, but also an alliance. He claimed the British were in fact his dream ally. After conquering Poland and then having to deal with the Norway debacle, he decided on finally taking action and invading France. Ultimately, we know he was extremely successful in this regard, and after a few weeks, indeed, it was just the British Channel separating him from his final enemy. Here is where the reality separates from the myth. Adolf Hitler began to seek peace with the United Kingdom as he sat across the Channel. What was the point in fighting for either side anyway? Hitler made all kinds of offers to the British, but Winston Churchill, who as we discussed last time, was quite literally being paid to push for war with and destroy Germany, chose to fight on. The British people, however, were beginning to grow weary of a war with no clear aim. Until now, there was a general agreement between the British and the Germans not to bomb population centres. Up until this point, Germany had followed this agreement to the letter. No bombs were dropped on British cities and only military targets were hit. The British had mostly stuck to it, but did however bomb a few cities in the Ruhr. Winston was desperately looking for an opportunity to escalate the war. Charles de Gaulle had even found him in his garden, shaking his fist at the sky, screaming, "Why won't you come?" His opportunity came, however, on the 24th of August 1940, when the Germans missed one of their targets, an oil refinery near London. No one was killed, but Churchill had his pretext. He caused a storm, claiming the evil Germans had targeted British cities, and he sent for a, quote, savage attack on Berlin immediately. The target was to be civilians. 100 British bombers set off for Berlin that night and caused havoc in the first targeted civilian bombing between the British and the Germans. Hitler didn't respond. For weeks, the terror bombing of German cities continued. Night after night, planes would set off from England and deliberately target German cities and, most importantly, civilians. Hitler still did not respond.
I told him we will have the opportunity to attack London. And he said, stop it, stop it. I don't want to hear this. The whole attack on England is against my opinion, against my willing. I could stop it. The English population is of such high class and they are so similar to the Germans that I hate to fight England.
Ultimately, however, this charade could not go on forever. For months, he had ignored those like Hermann Goering who wanted to smash British cities. Now, though, he had no choice. Germany began to respond, and so the Blitz began. The story of the stoic British people dealing with their hardships in a professional manner is no myth, and this is what the people did. The British people had not done anything wrong, and for all they knew, Hitler really was just attacking their cities in an evil quest to conquer the world. After all, this is what Churchill and those pulling his strings, propaganda machine, was telling them. The ugly truth comes out, however, when we discover how Winston Churchill made these people so stoic. If bombs are landing on your head, you need to feel like your nation is doing something to defend you. But in 1940, such technology was unreliable, and as former PM Stanley Baldwin put it, the bomber always gets through. To deal with this problem, and to give the appearance of fighting back, Winston Churchill ordered naval guns and other ineffective weapons to be set up around major cities undergoing bombing and to fire into the sky at the aircraft. There was one problem, however. These guns didn't work, and Churchill knew it. These were not anti-aircraft guns. The end result was that most of these shells simply came right back down to earth, and almost none hit the planes. When all was said and done, around half of the British civilian casualties during the Blitz were in fact inflicted by their own side dropping massive shells on their head, purely for appearance's sake. Churchill couldn't care less. The British people rallied around him, and for all they knew, this was the Germans. But in reality, their own Prime Minister was butchering them for his own personal gain. Ultimately, as we know, terror bombing broke neither side's will to fight on, and in the end, it only resulted in millions of dead, with nothing to show for it. Winston Churchill had opened Pandora's box, and he alone is responsible for those deaths on both sides. Adolf Hitler is guilty of many, many things, but wanting to bomb British civilians is certainly not one of them. Perhaps the story of the Blitz that our history teachers told us wasn't so accurate after all. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more. Most of all though, thank you to my patrons who make these videos possible. If you'd like to become a patron, then please click the link in the description below to support me for as little as $2 a month, and also to join our Discord and our weekly Hearts of Iron 4 games. Thank you to Lobster to You, Darway Lololol, Sigmar, Emperor Titus, Luke David Murphy, Chechen Natsok, Anton Berglund, Levi E, Lanza, Friendly Brian, Mr. Malabar, Bushak, Firefly Enterprise, Henry Unruh, Evan Brightfield, Chef Jeff, and Ethan Winstanley.